Real life stories ranging from encounters with rapists to crazy ex-girlfriends who may never move on. Here are 5 real life creepy stories from Reddit. Number 5. I met Rachel about 2 months prior to the incident, but we had hung out every day in that short amount of time. I can go on all day about how perfect she was, but you guys don't have time for that. Just know that besides being beautiful, smart, and spontaneous, she was also fearless. She made me go bungee jumping, bought a tarantula on a whim, and once made an entire bar erupt in cheers after breaking some dude's nose. We never defined our relationship, but I guess you could say we were exclusive friends with benefits. As ridiculous as that sounds, I think it's because we were having so much fun so fast and we didn't want to risk what we had. We both knew our feelings ran deeper than that, but this may be important later on. It was a summer's night and we had been at the beach for a bonfire with my friend Peter, his nephew Rick, and his girlfriend, but had to leave because alcohol was not allowed. It was already midnight, but we didn't want to call it a night, so decided to go back to Rick's house to play some beer pong. We arrive at Rick's house around 1 a.m. and he motions us to wait in the car, as it seems that he and his girlfriend had gotten into an argument. 10 minutes pass and I ask Peter to pop the trunk so I could get a beer from the ice chest. He does it, but almost simultaneously says, "She's still there?" He's looking in the rearview mirror, so I turn around and see what he's looking at, and it's a lady several hundred feet down the street, just standing there but facing the other direction. He explains that she's been standing in the same spot directly below a streetlight since we got there. I continue out of the car, get us beers and close the truck when Peter and Rachel both say "fuck" and start laughing. I turn to find that she's still in the same spot but now facing us. Weird, but whatever. I get back in the car and we lose track of time talking about a planned camping trip, but it's now been about 30 minutes and I need another beer. So I get out and I see the lady, but the street light she was under has gone out and she was under another one a little closer to us. But either way, now we can see this lady's face, and she's just looking down the street emotionless with a blank stare. Now that was weird, but we got the green light to enter Rick's house, so we quickly forgot about it. Now we've been playing beer pong for about an hour now, and we completely forgot about that weird lady outside. But we also ran out of beer, so he sent Peter to go retrieve the ice chest from the car. He comes back empty-handed saying, "Fuck that, I'm not going out there." We were confused for a moment, but look out the window to find that the streetlight she was under before had gone out, and now she was at the streetlight directly in front of the house and car. In our drunken state, we start laughing, giving Peter shit about being a bitch and whatnot, but it was actually pretty creepy. Rachel, being the badass she is, says, "Move pussies, I'll go get it." Not wanting to be outdone, I followed. We approached the lady, but she still didn't turn to face us. Rachel goes up to her and asks, "Sweetie, are you okay? Do you need help?" Nothing. Now we are directly in front of her. Her eyes were glazed over, but she wasn't blinking, just basically staring right through us. Rachel tries to communicate again, this time placing her hand on her arm. Nothing. At this point we realize she needs help, so Rachel tells me to call 911. I take out my phone and I'm about to dial, and look up to see the lady had turned her head to face me. I pause momentarily, but decide to continue. As soon as I look down, I hear "no!" and the lady slaps my phone down on the floor. This had me shocked for a couple seconds, but I realize that she is now turned towards Rachel and is whispering something into her ear. I'm staring, still in shock, just watching her whisper to Rachel for what seems like forever, but was probably only like 20 seconds, before she just turns and runs off into the darkness. The police came and I decided I'd let Rachel talk to them. I went inside and Peter and Rick were cracking up. I did too. It was such a what the fuck situation that all I could do was laugh. We hear Rachel enter and I go over to ask how it went, and she gives me a forced smile and just said, "Good. I'm kinda tired. Can you give me a ride home?" I was pretty buzzed, so I proposed a taxi because she seemed pretty adamant. We get to her apartment and I ask the taxi to wait, but she quickly turns and asks if I didn't want to stay. Now I stayed there before, but this time her eyes seemed to beg me, so I agreed. That was the last time I saw Rachel. Until last night. For the past 2 years, all I've seen from Rachel were texts on birthdays and holidays. I was confused for a long time as I didn't know what happened. I mentioned earlier we had a camping trip planned among other things, and we were inseparable during that time, so I was at a loss for what had happened. Last night was the first time that made me consider that this event may have contributed to that. I was at a bar waiting for a friend to get off work when I hear someone call my name. It was Rachel. I was nervous, but we began talking. It was just like before, until the inevitable "I haven't seen you since" talk. I begin to retell the events of that night, and she gets quiet. It wasn't until I asked her what the lady said to her that I realized this. She gave me a look that I can only explain as "please let it go." Her friends noticed and asked if she was okay. At this point, I decided to back off the subject. I walk her and her friends out of the bar and ask her where she parks her car. That was answered by the friend's high-pitched ha. Rachel always parks under the nearest street lamp. I don't remember for sure, but I'm fairly certain that she never made that effort before. Me and Rachel have made plans to hang out again. I don't know if it'll ever be like before, but I'm hoping. As for knowing what Rachel heard, your guess is as good as mine. Number 4. Some weird things have been happening throughout the past month. First, some background information. I'm a 24-year-old female who lives with one male roommate, Matt, who is 27, and we live in a ranch-style house. We live in a pretty low crime rate area, and that is a primarily middle-class suburban neighborhood. This gets a little long because it's a series of encounters throughout the month, so please bear with me. The first strange encounter took place about 3 weeks ago, and I admit isn't that frightening. I've had a Facebook account since high school that I rarely post on or get new friend requests. However, I noticed a friend request from an obviously fake account named Michael Jones. It had a generic man as a picture, obviously Google imaged, and no post on the wall. I mindlessly accepted it before I viewed it and realized it was a fake, but when I looked at the friends list, I was the only friend on the account. This piqued my interest a little, so I didn't unfriend it immediately. But throughout the day, the fake account added my best friend, my college roommates, and my boyfriend's brother all on the account. I admit I was a little creeped out at first, but I forgot about it the next day. The next encounter happened the following week after the fake account was created. It was about midnight when I realized I needed more hair conditioner and decided to take a drive to the local Walmart to pick some up. We have a driveway and garage that connects to the house, and my car, a white 2-door Chevy Cobalt, was parked closest to the front window. Matt's black pickup truck was on the other side closest to the neighbor's house. When I got to my car, I noticed the driver's seat door ajar, which was strange because I swore I locked it earlier, but I got in anyways and headed out to Walmart. After I parked, I tried to get out, and the door wouldn't open. I checked to see if it was unlocked, and it was, so I drove back home, realizing that my car was probably broken into, and whoever did it broke the door in the process. This by in itself was weird, because like I said, it was a low-crime, middle-class neighborhood. The next day I got my door fixed, and the mechanic confirmed someone used a Slim Jim to bust the door. Bruiser, my dog, was barking like crazy around 11:30 that night, and when Matt checked, no one was outside, so he thought it was just another animal. I talked to our neighbors, and they also heard Bruiser going nuts, but they didn't see anything suspicious. Some parts just didn't add up though. Matt and I were home most of the night with the lights on, so whoever did it knew that there were people in the house. Matt's car was more expensive than mine, and even none of the neighbors' cars were broken into, which was weird considering my roommate had loose change, a few dollars, and a GPS visible. I had nothing of value to thieves in my car, more like empty water bottles, old sunglasses, and a few receipts. And mine was even closest to the window. The neighbors' cars were also parked on the street that night, making them easy targets. Also, in my car was nothing even moved or touched in the slightest way, absolutely nothing, making me question why they were even bothering to break into it. I filed a police report but probably won't hear back from that. The last encounter has been occurring throughout this week. 3 times I have come home to the door being unlocked, even though I was the last to leave the house and lock up. Things have also been progressively going missing in my room. Nothing of value, mostly used makeup and a hairbrush, but I'm certain I never even touched or moved these items from their original spot. Also, one night I went to sleep with the door closed, and when I woke up that morning it was wide open. Matt swears he didn't open it, but I don't remember getting up to open it throughout that night. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but something in my gut is making me wonder if these weird occurrences could be related. Number 3. Last night, my sister and I decided to go jogging at night by our house. We don't live in the best area, but it's also not the worst. That is to say, most of the people in my neighborhood are well-meaning good folks, but there are still some shady characters that spill over from the really bad areas surrounding us. So down the block from our house, there's a block that stretches really long with a church on one side of the road and an elementary school on the other. The school takes up the whole square block, so my sister and I decided to jog around the perimeter. This isn't the first time we've done this, but this is the first time we've done it at night. Several laps in, as we jogged along the side of the school that runs along the main road, a white car drives by in the same direction that we're running in. For reference, at this time of night, there's not many cars on the road here. There might be 1 or 2 cars every 5 minutes on a busy night. There are also no people out. We didn't come across any other pedestrian the whole time we were out there. My sister and I are both vigilant people, so we take a glance at the vehicle. The car had heavily tinted pitch black windows, making it impossible to see the driver or anyone else inside. This made us both tentative. As the car was driving at a slow pace, matching the pace of our jog, my sister, who's a few years older than me, told me to stay calm and just look straight. We were coming up on the corner of the school, where we'd turn left to continue along its perimeter. Continued to talk through the side of her mouth, so as not to alert the person in the car and let them see that we saw them and we were alarmed. My sister told me to run really fast once we turned the corner. You might be thinking that they could have just as easily turned the corner with us. That's true, but once we turned the corner and got to the end of the block, we'd be turning left again, since we were jogging along the perimeter of the school. The car, however, would not be able to make another left turn, as there was a stone barricade that stopped cars from driving along that side of the school as a safety precaution in case children ran out of the playground during recess. So the plan was to turn left, jet down the street, and make the second left that they wouldn't be able to make. Well, we had never had to do that because just a couple of feet short of the corner, the car suddenly sped up and made a quick right turn, driving out of our sight. We still made the left turn and jogged about halfway down the block before we felt safe enough to stop, catch our breath, and take a good look behind us. They were gone, but we didn't feel safe continuing our workout, so we decided to make our way home. We started to walk back and reached the corner we just turned around when we see headlights quickly approaching across from us on the road the car had just sped down. It was the white car again. They must have double backed. My heart dropped into my gut. I said something along the lines of, "Oh my gosh, it's the same car," to my sister, who had already picked up on it. We were walking at this point, not jogging. If we turned right, we'd be walking along the side of the school. If we turned left, we'd be walking towards home, which is about 2 blocks away. If we went straight, we'd be heading straight for the white car, which at this point was just sitting at the intersection with no indication of making a move. What was scarier now was that the front passenger window was open and a guy was hanging out of it. In other words, his legs were in the car, but he was seated on the window ledge so that his entire body hung out and his arms rested on the roof of the car for support. He was a young guy, probably in his 20s, and looked kinda rough. And if there was a chance before that their actions had nothing to do with us, it was pretty much gone now, as the guy was staring directly at us. So, to put it into perspective, we approached the corner about the same time the car approaches the opposite corner, with the guy hanging out of the window staring straight at us. Before another second goes by, my sister grabs my arm and pulls me down with her as she does a squat. She gets back up and does another squat. She continues to drag me with her up and down as she does her squats, but I give her a really confused look and never take over to voluntarily squat with her. I bulged my eyes and gave her a look that screamed, "Are you literally doing squats when there are potential killers right now across the road looking at us?" She just whispered through gritted teeth, "Just go with the flow." My sister would later explain to me that she did that because no matter which direction we ran or walked in, there were no cars, no people, and a lot of open road. We had nowhere to run and effectively get away, so the only strategy she could think of was to stay put and possibly throw them off. The last thing she wanted to do was to show them that we were scared, because predators like this feed on fear and often pounce when they think their victims feel concerned. Scared? Please, we don't even notice you guys. We're just having a nice workout, doing squats. That was the vibe we were trying to give, but inside, we were freaking out. Our hearts were racing. At this point, we could hear people talking in the car. As the road was dead and there was nothing to drown out their voices, but they were too far to make out their words. And about a minute passed like this. The car just frozen at the intersection, the passengers' eyes frozen on us, and the windshield too black to see the driver or any other passengers. Then the most wonderful thing happened. We could see headlights from a car approaching on the road to our left. I was already planning in my head to wave it down for help once it got to the intersection, but the nearing presence of another car must have prompted the men in the white car to make a move first. They slowly turned left, which meant they were coming right at us, and would be turning past the corner we were standing on. My sister threw the "we're not scared" play right out the window at that moment, throwing her arm across my chest and pushing me back a few paces, in case they made a move to grab us before the other car approached the intersection. As they made their way by us, we could finally see what we were dealing with. There were 4 guys in the car, the driver, the front passenger hanging out of the window, and the 2 back passengers. They all stared at us menacingly as they passed, and we stared back. My sister's arm still across my chest like a mama bear holding her cubs back. And the scariest part of all came when the front passenger, whilst looking at us, says, "The wolves are hungry tonight." Then he cocks his head back and starts howling to the sky while repeatedly banging the roof of the car with his hands. The other guys in the car join in howling, and the back passenger on our side sticks his head out as far as he can and bangs the side door of the car with his arm. The chilling part about this is that me and my sister had been part of a children's theater production of Little Red Riding Hood months before. We were both wearing the t-shirts we had from that event. They were red and said the Little Red Riding Hood on the front. So as soon as the guy made the wolf comment, my sister and I made the connection. Whatever their intentions were, they were sinister. These guys continued to howl as they drove, and once they got several feet ahead of us, they sped off, taking the red light at the next intersection. The other car had pulled up at this point, but with the guys gone, we ran home as fast as we could. we figured they would double back again to terrorize us some more. Thankfully, we made it home, locking all the doors behind us. We promised we would never work out that night again. Number 2. I want to start this off by saying I'm a 6'3", 17-year-old guy who spent plenty of time in the gym. I'm not saying I'm attractive. I hate myself. Just that I'm not a small guy. On to the story. Me and my ex, who I will call Kelly, were together for 8 months. She was my first real girlfriend. First girl I kissed. She was my everything. Now, as many of us know, at about 17 or any time in our teen years, you'll make bad choices. You'll be stupid, and I'm no exception. My first bad choice was staying with her as long as I did. She was nice at first, friendly, made me feel like I lucked out. I was so distracted by her false promises of love and being together forever that I didn't realize she was extremely manipulative. She started taking my friends away. She told me I didn't need them. I had her. At first I agreed. She said we'd get married. My friends could wait. That's when things with Kelly took a darker turn. I've always been full of anxiety and scared of dying alone, so I guess that influenced my thoughts. She cut me off from everyone. She had to approve all my friends on Facebook, all my contacts in my phone, and who I followed on Twitter. I was doing a group project for health, and one of the females in the group sent me a DM to ask me what she needed to do. I answered her and told her honestly. I regret it. Kelly took my phone, threw it across the room, and proceeded to beat me and abuse me. She told me I was worthless. I didn't deserve her. I deserved to be hit. I couldn't hit her back, and what she said, mixed with all my self-hatred, I just let it happen. She broke my nose and gave me a black eye. I didn't want her to get in trouble, and I had to protect her. Somehow she convinced me I deserved that, so I lied to my parents and told them I fell down some steps at Kelly's house. I had never been more ashamed, and that was the first of many beatings. It was always my fault somehow. She even hit me because she cheated on me. Also, the worst part of it was she would force me to have sex with her. I can't get into that without crying and shutting down, so that's all I have to say about that. I know you may be wondering why a 6'3", 200-pound guy let a 5'4" girl abuse him for 8 months, and I really don't know. I thought I loved her, but thinking back I didn't. She blocked me off from everyone. She dehumanized me. It was the Stockholm Syndrome effect she had. I eventually came to my senses and realized I didn't deserve that, so I told her we were breaking up. She didn't like that. Within 24 hours of breaking up, I had 600 plus missed calls and even more text messages. I blocked her on all social media and even blocked her number. Then she started getting her mom to call me and got her mom to add me on all social media. I blocked her on everything too. She started following me after that. Everywhere I went, she was within 100 yards. She followed me to the gym, to the movies, my work, everywhere. I couldn't sleep at night because I was scared. I still am. As I am typing this, I literally just received a text from a blocked number saying I always loved you. Get off your phone and look out the window. I think it's her. I'm sure it's her. I'm just going to ignore her. I'm actually pretty freaked out. If anything after this doesn't match the flow, it's because I'm stopping, and I'm probably going to shove my couch in front of the door. This is going to be a long night. I stopped typing for a while after the text thing. Haven't seen or heard from her. The last thing I've heard about her is that she tried to kill herself by jumping off a bridge. She was diagnosed as bipolar and is hopefully moving soon. So Kelly, let's not meet. Please. Number 1. When I was 19 years old, like most people my age, I was attending university and was living in a private house off campus with a few other students. As I'm not the most sociable person and didn't go out very often, my daily routine was pretty consistent. Wake up early, morning lectures, lunch at home, evening lectures, and then home for the night. Campus was around a 15-minute walk from the house, which I normally made alone as my flatmates were based on different campuses. One day, I was walking to university with my earphones in when I noticed a red car crawling along beside me. The driver was male, around 5'9", quite muscular and with a few noticeable tattoos. He was staring straight at me, and so I pulled out my headphones to hear what he was saying. He asked me some general questions such as my name, what I studied, etc. And then he asked for my telephone number, because he'd like for us to go on a date. I wasn't interested, but I'm one of those people that has a hard time saying no, so I gave it to him, but changed the last digit thinking I wouldn't see him again, even though he claimed to go to the same university. It's pretty big, and he probably asked out a lot of women, so wouldn't be too fussed. I then hurried off and forgot about it by the end of the day. A couple of weeks later, I was walking to university again when I spotted the same red car turning the corner on the opposite side of the road. Feeling a little embarrassed, I avoided eye contact and walked a little faster, only to hear the sound of tires screeching on the road behind me as it made a sudden U-turn. Now on my side of the road, the red car zooms past me and comes grinding to a halt a few meters ahead. The guy gets out and rushes towards me. I'm shocked but continue walking until he blocks my path and begins shouting in my face. Why haven't you been answering your phone? I told you I wanted to take you out. I've been calling you every day for weeks and you haven't been answering. He wasn't much taller than me, but it felt like he was towering over me, really close and very angry. I decided that telling him I wasn't interested wouldn't be the best thing to do as he was so furious, so I had since said that I had been busy and that I had finals and switched off my phone to focus on my work. He calmed down instantly and his whole demeanor changed. It was almost like a Jekyll and Hyde transition. He then said, "It makes sense that you're busy. I've seen you walk into campus every day. You're in the library every evening now. You shouldn't work so hard." The only new addition to my routine was that I spent nights in the library. It didn't seem weird at the time because he had told me he goes to my university, so I just shrugged it off. He then claimed to be going to class 2 and asked if he could drop me off. For someone who reads extensively about serial killers, you'd think I would have known better than to get into a car with a stranger. He wasn't even offering any candy, so I'm officially dumber than a 5-year-old. I rationalized that the campus was 15 minutes away through fairly busy streets, which I knew well, and that he had calmed down now, so I got in the car. Almost immediately, I felt like it was a huge mistake. For the first few moments, we were silent until I couldn't stand the awkwardness any longer. I asked him what he studied and what year he was in, to which he gave very vague, short answers, so I figured he didn't want to talk and fell silent again. Then it started. "I'm sorry I got so angry at you. I just really like you. When I spoke to you, it made me like you more, and I noticed you have really clean fingernails. Not like some of the whores with painted nails, you see. I fucking hate girls like that. Do you speak another language? I like it when girls speak to me in another language when we're having sex." I laughed most of this off as I didn't know what to say and noticed we were approaching a side street next to my campus gate. At this point, I was thoroughly freaked out and just wanted to get to the closest, safest place I could find. He thankfully pulled over and let me out, insisting on walking me to the door because his next lecture was about to start and was a few doors away. I slipped into the nearest room I could find, pretending it was my next class. After saying my goodbyes, inside the room, I waited a few minutes hoping he'd be gone, and he was. However, when I started walking to my actual class, I noticed he was leaving the campus. After this encounter, I decided to change my walking route, which successfully meant I didn't see him again. One evening, I noticed I had a mass email from my course organizer warning all students, especially female, to be vigilant as a rape had been reported the night before in an area close by. A description was eventually released of the perpetrator, which sounded eerily similar to the man in the red car, mostly due to the similarity between the tattoos described in the report and the ones I'd seen up close. I don't know if he was caught, but I never saw the guy ever again. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy these types of videos, be sure to subscribe because I'll be uploading more of them. Thanks for your support.